you got any final thoughts for the show?
Make jukes, not war.
Can we edit that out?
Nope. I had my game face on.
I think we can.
Hello and welcome to this week's video. This week we are focusing on the Toyota AE86. Now there is two casts / variations of this AE86, and I'm starting off with one that really triggered this situation or sort of subject for this week, and that is of course this, which is the Tokyo 2020 released set containing obviously the A86, and I was sort of looking at this and thinking, of course that's using the old cast. Now there was the old and new one, and this is of course the older one, which is sort of slightly more modified and has a few subtle little differences here and there, but I believe there is a few similarities, and I really wanted to see how different is the new and the old casting. So I've got some of the most recent and some of the oldest releases of these two casts, and we'll have a look and compare them and see how different they really are. And here we are. Of course, main difference is of course sizing. The newer cast is of course shrunk in size, which is slightly more accurate, as these are definitely not the biggest of cars. They are just little Toyota Corollas from the 1980s / 90s, so they aren't exactly the largest of cars. And a few differences, of course, the fact that the ones on the left, the older ones, are of course highly modified as in comparison to the newer ones, which are here in stock format. Now they are Turuno, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, here. However, these are just labelled as the A86 Toyota Corolla, which is still very cool, and I of course still really like them. I've been after one of these old casts for a long time, until of course recently, in the video I posted around 2 or 3 months ago, I had this huge thrift store haul where I found this and a ton of other things I've been looking for a long time, ever since they're released from well back. So I was really quite happy to do that, and that really sprung an idea in my mind to compare this red one here to that one, and then it sort of sprung out again when I found this and I wanted to compare it to all of them. So I'm going to split them off and probably compare the red one to the red one, as it's the most similar, and see how different they really are, or maybe how similar. So starting on the front end, of course you can see very big differences on here in terms of size and general everything. Of course on the older one it's highly modified, so you've got bumper cuts, a whole new aftermarket bumper, and of course the pop-up headlights are down, whereas on the new one, or the newer cast, you can see the bumper is very stock in the way it is. It's got the spotlights underneath, which are sort of a signature of this generation Corolla. You've got the pop-up headlights flipped upwards, which I think is very nice. I love that feature, or at least I love that sort of, I don't know how to explain it. I just love the way they've articulated that in the cast, and sort of really experimented with how this cast is going to look. Another sort of extremely obvious thing you can see on the front is of course the side mirrors are on the newer cast, whereas they aren't found at all on the older one. On to the side profile now, where I'm trying to get a little bit of focus, but it's really battling me right now. The winter cold is really not helping. You can see big size and differences between the older and the newer, where you can see the side windows are nice and proportioned on the older one, how they should be, with big windows on the sides, and on the older one where they are really sort of squeezed in, which is quite surprising. You can see more riveted and bolted on fenders, showing how aftermarket this thing really is. I do actually prefer the wheels on this as compared to this. After this video I'm going to compare or remove the chrome off of this one, because I really don't like it. I think the gold chrome can look so much better on other things, so I'm going to use some alcohol and remove that because I don't like it. Anyway, ignoring the livery of course, as this one being very stock in fashion, we see of course again no sort of side mirroring or anything like that. We do see a large duckbill spoiler, whereas this one has none, it's just flat. More sort of subtle differences between the two is the fact that this cast seems very squished and awkward in comparison to how well proportioned the older, the newer one is. Of course released in 2020 in the first design, which was the Falcon one. Sorry, 2021 was when this one was released. Get my numbers wrong there. And of course you can see general size in between it. This one looks a lot more like an SUV than the new one does, which is of course a bad thing. New one is a very big improvement on that. And moving on to the rear now, where we see very big differences in the two casts. On the left side, the older side, we see a large muffler peeking out of the cutout for the rear bumper, which is of course aftermarket, and a large sort of post elite, so you don't get a post going straight through the centre of the cast there. So that's the bit of the chassis, and that's a license plate sort of area and casted rear lights as opposed to nicely detailed ones on this one. I do actually prefer having casted lines with details, however this is just no details, just details with no casted lines. Of course you can see the Triuno, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Apex twin cam 16 details on the back of the newer one with a nice solid line and great details in that way. And of course you can kind of see peeking down the bottom, zoom in very far, another cutout for the exhaust, but it's much smaller and much more stock looking as opposed to the newer one, the older one. Personally I think it's a great improvement from the old to the new, and a positive one that I like to see. But I'm also happy to see the older cast being used a lot more, which is a great thing. I'm going to bring the older one on now to show you how there is a similarity between these two in terms of the interior. So stick with me for just a second. Now, seeing inside of this A86's interior, which is the same as the red one we've just looked at, you'll see some sort of canisters there, which looks like nitrous oxide in there for injection at the engine to get a clearer burn, I believe, in petrol, which has been carried over, as well as the box in the back, from the original cast, believe it or not, with, of course, you can see much more clearly as the interior is much more visible in here. If we get a little bit of focus and a little bit of a better angle, because the windows are slightly small, you can see the nitrous oxide bottles right there, as well as the big box in the back. It's less present, but it is definitely there. So there is interior differences here, but they are very similar, if not possibly the same, just with that extra box in the back to hide the, of course, extra sort of pivot bit on the bottom of this one. Of course, bases we'll move on to now, where you can see nice muffler details, axle of course, transmission, and many other nice details, as well as two posts as common now. However, on the bottom of the older cast we can see great details on the bottom of this one. Of course you can see fuel tank, muffler detail, axle, diff, catalytic converter, and of course many other great details on there. They are very similar in the way they are designed, however have very differences when comes to differences. Of course you can see having this space where there is no post, if we can get a little bit of focus, having this space where there's no post at all gives you more detail on the base. However, it makes it look slightly worse on the back. It's just a compromise, which I quite like, on both of them. So that's been about it. That's all I can really compare. So please, in the comments down below, comment what you like and dislike about each cast, and which one's your favourite, older or newer, because I really do like to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe everyone, have fun, and of course, stay juking.